by practicing the preliminary practices. In Tibetan they call them nundros. And particularly today, Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga and reciting the Miksema mantra. So that's enough, but we have some questions, I think. So my plan is we'll do some questions. Then, if we can manage it, the 35 Buddhas. I'm sore too, believe me. Shows I'm in bed, been lazy. All winter, no prostrations. Actually, I think I stopped when I went to go to last October, I mean, always, you do 3, but 3 is nothing, So this is good for me too. Some questions, and also I need to clarify a few things. For the new people here, it's great that you're really interested in doing the Nundro practice. However, you must engage also, if you haven't done the basic program, to learn the basics of Buddhism. So for the new people, we encourage you to come to the basic class. If you want to do the Nundros, that's fine, but just remember that if you want to do the accumulation, if you want to count the 100,000, you have to do this whole thing every day. So we're just clarifying Nyingje Rinpoche's advice. So if you don't do the whole thing every day, then you have to, if you're counting something, you have to start counting again. And then there was some confusion about the Vajrasattva practice. Is there a separate sadhana for the Vajrasattva practice, or you do the Vajrasattva within this? And some people say one and some people say the other. So I think you should consult with Nyingje Rinpoche, because it might just be an individual thing for someone to have the Vajrasattva practice. I personally like the sadhana, and if it were me, I would, because it's short, I mean, I have no idea what Nyingje Rinpoche's sadhana he uses. But I think it's at least good to generate the vision, you can't just start saying the mantra. You have to at least generate the Vajrasattva and do the 4 opponent powers, And I mean, I even made it shorter today. Usually it's a bit longer. So I would at least you do that much. And if you are a new person and you really like this, and you want to do this along with the basic program, which it would be great, actually. It'd be a very great combination to do this and the basic program, because this has the foundation of all good qualities in it, so you read the Lam Rim every day, and you'd be constantly making merit, And also, you need to know that to keep the practice going, you don't have to do it like I do it, slow, meditating, To keep it going, you can read it as fast as you possibly can, just to keep it going. That's not a good deal, but say you had to work a lot and you have children and blah, 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 and suddenly it's 10:30, 11, midnight, you haven't done it, you go, oh, what is, Lizzie goes, OMG. She just, I guess that's text talking, right? Then you just read it. And I think it says here, Rinpoche, I mean, I've just been guessing what the Spanish says, but I think the Spanish says that you can skip the foundation of all good qualities if you don't have enough time. I understood that, right? I was just kind of reading the Spanish and figuring it out. So, because I saw the word emergency, and sin. I know that because you can get agua sin gas, so that means without, right? Without fault. So, so that makes it shorter, And some of it is repeated anyway, I think if you've taken refuge once, you don't have to take it twice. So, and it actually doesn't take that long. And you might want to check too with Nyingje Rinpoche. Some lamas say that instead of having to read the whole visualization, you can just visualize it, and that's also, yeah. So Rinpoche, so if you don't have to read, every word, you just know there's Buddha and the whole thing there. Yeah, yeah. So if you memorize it, you don't have to read it. And the good thing about memorizing things is if you have squinched for time, you can do it while you take a walk. And I would ask Rinpoche too, if maybe, just if you don't have much time, could you just do the 3 immeasurables one time instead of 3 times? You can? Yeah, so you can just do the 4 immeasurables one time instead of 3 times. And then it isn't very long, actually. You know? And maybe you could do a short mandala instead of a long mandala. So then it doesn't take so much time. If you just, because then it's basically just Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. And I do that every day. It takes me 10 minutes if I'm in a hurry, you know. So, and it doesn't take long to memorize it. So it's really not a lot that Yangtze Rinpoche is asking you to do. And anyway, just about if you're really serious about Buddhism, you should do this every day anyway. You should do Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, you know. So I never asked if one Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga is the same as one 6-session Guru Yoga, but I don't think so. Because it doesn't have the vows, it's not exactly the same. There's no Vajradhara. So you have to do that on top of, if you have 6-session, you have to do that too. And what else was there, Veronica? Anything else? Oh yeah, and in order to accumulate it, you have to, wherever you start, you have to do it. So if you go on vacation for 3 weeks, you still have to do this every day. But you can't, you have to do the thing 3 times, whatever it is you're accumulating. But they're all in here 3 times anyway, so pretty much, except the mandala offering. And then when you go back home, you can start counting again. And how do you count? That's another question. You know, you can, some people just keep a notebook, and you use it in Romans, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, you know, 1, 2, 3, like that. That's usually what I do. Yeah. And at the end of every session, I mean, I've even, you know, you have a place where you just write it down so you don't forget. But then if you're doing, can I see your mala? You have counters on it, right? Yeah, you have a counter. See these counters? I don't like to have the counter on the mala because then I find I'm having to reach around and everything. But you can actually, because when you're doing a lot, you know, you're going around, you have to remember. You know, sometimes I do it on my fingers, you know, to 5, and then I'll do a check or something. But you can forget, if you get spaced out, you forget what finger to. So it's better if you have, you can have one of these, you know. But, and then this is like, if you have a few of these, like, so for every this is 100, you know, 200, like that. And then when you get all the way down, then you have a second one to count the thousands, right? And then so then you get the thousands. And then you can have another one, you know, or you can just write down the hundreds. Or you can have one of those counters, but what if you dropped it or something? I don't know. But, yeah, just a second, let me finish. And then the other thing that I like to do, too, is I just have rice. Like I'll just, because that, for me, that's the easiest, because I don't have to think about anything, because I just like to keep, you know, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know what I do. And then you have like 10 rice grains, and you just reach down, you move one over there, da-da-da-da-da-da, over there, you know. And then you get, that's 10. And then, you know, that's already, you know, that's 1,000. But then you can just write down at the end of your session in your book how many that was, you know. That's another way to count. Yasmin? Yeah. 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 Yeah, so I mean, I didn't have little bowls. I just had it on my table, you know. But something, and I mean, because rice is really easy, or beans, you know. So you can just like that. But I have trouble counting sometimes. I mean, I forget, or you know. And one time, I'll tell you a big confession. One time I was doing a long retreat, and I had this little mala, right? And I was going, you know, it wasn't a very long mantra. But I looked down, and I realized, for some reason, my thumb was going 2 beads. Because it was a little mala. So I had no idea how many mantras I had said. So I don't know if I did too many. I mean, so I did extra, you know. But so be careful, you know, because I was just like so involved in the meditation, I wasn't paying any attention to my fingers, you know. And I looked down and I saw I was going 2, and I was like, God, how many months have I been doing 2? Yeah. Oh, wait, I have to say that and so she can, yeah. You just now give her the thing. Thank you. Yep, bless it
That
for you.
Mirna and me, we were speaking about that the other days because when we do refuge, Nondro, sometimes you catch yourself, and we still don't know what happens. That, like you say, or you doing 2, or you stop doing counting, and even I found sometimes myself doing it the other way, the other wrong way.
Oh, going the wrong way, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you have to stay mindful of your body too, you know, not just like that space out, you know. It is interesting, but you do, you know, you get really into it, you know, you just think, you know, or maybe you go to sleep or something. But anyway, be careful is what I'm saying, you know. I think it's better to have a mala with big beads, because the little beads, the mala I had when I was doing 2, it was little beads, you know. Yeah. Like they say, Bodhi seed mala is the best for everything. The kind they sell in Bodh Gaya, you know. Yeah, Anna. You need the thing, though.
Maybe a good advice is to practice before with different malas. You know, to see which one is easier. You know, to move the beats and that you're 100%, because you cannot change the mala either. So you have to start with the same.
You can't change the mala either?
You have to start with the same mala. So it's better to be sure.
Oh, we should say that. I have to start with the same mala. But people can't, they're expensive, you know.
Yeah.
But you say. So Veronica can translate.
Okay, sometimes you can change the mala because maybe you are doing the repetition and it breaks.
Yeah.
Because it breaks. It can be, yeah.
You can change the mala?
Yeah, you can change.
Yeah, that sounded a bit strict to me.
Yeah, because the mala breaks because the threads or whatever it's done, it can break. The only thing you cannot change is the place or the cushion.
I noticed you blew on the mala. Does that have a significance?
Oh, that's how you bless the mala. Before you start, it's good to bless the mala. So the way you bless the mala, this is for tantric practice only, though. You know, you have to arise as the deity, and you know the mantra. You know, when you do the dispelling mantra we talked about. You know, and then then you do the Om Sabhava Shuddha Savar Dhamma Sabhava Shuddha Hum. Then the mala dissolves in the beads dissolve in emptiness. Then each bead arises as the deity. And then you do the wisdom beings going in, you know, Zahum Bao, a lot. Zahum Bao, we get the beat, you know. And then if you know how to do the initiation deities, come give the empowerment. And then you can say the mantra. And when like most lamas, at the end of every recitation session, like you've sat and you did, 20 minutes of Vajrasattva, you blow on the mala, and then the mala gets the power of the blessing. The blessing of your speech goes into the, but anyway, so you blow on the mala with the mantra, and then dissolves back into emptiness again and comes again a mala again. And that way the mala gets power in it. It becomes a power object. And a lot of lamas, they use malas for healing. They put the mala on the head, or, they, like my friend Samden, he's really into that. And when he blesses a mala, you can feel the difference. You put it on and you feel a blessing, because every day he blesses his mala. Every day before he starts the recitation, he blesses his mala. So those of you who can do that, you can do like that. And if you're not a tantric practitioner, then you can still, you can still blow on it when you finish, because there's some lamas, like there was this lama at Ganden Jangse who was he had said so many mantras, and he had so much faith in the mantras. that he had a straw, right? And he'd blow through the straw on people's tumors and things, and it would heal them just from his breath, because his mantra recitation was so strong. And so everyone was going to him to get healed, you know. No. No, I mean, usually in those tantric sadhanas, like I think even in Kala Chakra, there's a mala blessing, isn't there? I saw it. Usually in the highest yoga tantra, before you start the mantra recitation, there's always a mala blessing. You know, but that's the other thing. You should have at least 2 malas. You need the mala that you do your recitations with, that you blow on and you bless, and you keep in a little bag, and you don't let anybody see. And then you have I call it my town mala, my town mala, And you can make that be your pretty mala or whatever, your mala that you, because it's nice to have one, because when you're walking you can say mantras, and I especially like these little ones, because then I can walk around and nobody really sees that I have and they're easy to make. I just made this one, If I come back, we'll have a mala making class, And this is that stretchy stuff, And, you ladies, you can have different ones, to go with your outfits. And but actually it's not such a bad thing, because stones have different qualities, Like we were talking, Veronica and I were saying, like carnelian is good for if you need courage. Pearls is supposed to purify problems with your mother. This particular one, adventurine, is supposed to be very good for your thyroid. That's why I wear this one. Jade is very good for protection. I don't know. I mean, you can get into the gem. Rose quartz is very good to open the heart. So they and lapis is like medicine Buddha. But you don't have to have an expensive mala. You can just have plastic beads too. Because but some people are into that, and if you can feel that and you like that kind of energy, then there's no reason why you can't use that. Especially if you want to use it for healing later, or or amethyst is, I don't know. Some people know more about that stuff than me, but in fact, I know some people who do healing with stones. They lie down. You should try that, Veronica. You can do Reiki where you put the stones in the different chakras. Some people do that. Especially if you were to bless like if you had a bunch, I'm digressing, but if you had healing stones and you kept them near where you did your practice, and when you blew on the mala, you blew on the stones, then the stones would also start to get the healing power, But whenever you buy a stone, you're supposed to wash them, put them in water in the sun to clear all the other energy before they start getting the energy with salt, Yeah, ocean water. So that's that story. Where were we now? Now we're getting off into New Age. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, that's right. So I was about to get to that, but then we got all into the New Age malas and everything. So if you're going to, this is an unusual mala anyway. I never saw one quite like this. Did you make them or something? Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of nice. It looks like it's wooden and bone and carnelian, and start with the refuge. Like if you're a beginner here and you want to do the basic program, but you want to do this too, it'd be really good to start accumulating refuge. And study refuge. You can get there's some very good Lamrim texts, particularly, I don't know what's translated in Spanish, but find out, which Lamrim books are in Spanish. Have they made Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim in Spanish yet? Yeah? Then read that one. That's the best one. You have a question? Wait.
I was, Damcho gave a Lamrim retiro, and online. I don't know if you did that.
Is that the one you're doing?
No? Well, I have the text,
Yeah.
the Lamrim text
Okay.
in Spanish.
Oh, great. So Damcho has an online class on refuge. Good for Damcho. She's really making the Spanish Dharma world grow. It's fantastic. We should rejoice so much in Damcho. So, yeah, you guys don't know this. Maybe I can tell now. She didn't want people to know, but Damcho sponsored my Yamantaka retreat. I did a big retreat for 4 years, right? And Damcho, she sent me $100 a month every month for 4 years. And so I like to think that a little bit of what, she's going through now is because she sponsored that retreat. Because after that, that's when she became a nun. That's when she started doing all this stuff, So she was really smart. She said, oh, I can't do that retreat, but I'll help her do that retreat. And she's not rich. She wasn't rich. I don't know how she got the money, but every month she sponsored that, She told me not to tell anybody, but now it's 10 years later. Maybe she doesn't care. Yeah. Yeah, she and this other woman, both of them were lay people. Yeah. It's good. You can rejoice in her merit then. I think there's a good reason, It's later now, so I think at the time maybe, but it's okay now. So I was cooking for Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and he was leading a Vajrasattva retreat, and she was there with this other woman. Her name's Patricia. But they came over and they said, we want to help you sponsor your retreat. And so they each sent me $100 a month, and now they're both nuns. And their whole lives are just Dharma, So I like to think that it had, not to be proud, I just like to let you know that the system works, That they, because Yamantaka is the thing that clears the obstacles, So I think it helped them to clear obstacles too. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also pretty new in Buddhism, not many
Yeah.
years, like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And so far, I think I've done things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that I'm proud, but I realize that I've done things that many people that have been for years, they haven't had like the karma to do it.
Yeah.
But I know as a fact that I have had the karma because I also sponsor you
Yeah.
and something.
Yeah.
So it really works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like we're just trying to make money or anything, It just really does help, It helps, even if you just have $1, So, and also like Land of Calm Abiding, to sponsor Land of Calm Abiding is really great because then you're sponsoring all the people there meditating, So, okay, somebody had a question about energy before lunch. Where did she go? Is she not here? Are you shy? It's okay, we're all friends. We all have that, So do you mind coming and saying? She's really shy. You should. She wanted to ask me, I made her do this. She wanted to ask me just by herself, and I said, please, a lot of people have this question. So if you do ask, it'll help everybody, You can say it in Spanish.
I am very emotional.
It's all right. You saw me, I was crying before too,
Yo estoy muy agradecida.
Just tell her, and then you don't have to do it in front of everybody. No, right, you just put the microphone down and just tell her, and then you can go sit back down. Then it's easier, I think. Yeah? It's easier that way? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In her heart, she has a lot of emotions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe this is not fair. Is it okay? Is it too cruel to make you talk in front of the others?
Cuando nosotros.
When we,
No, that's okay. Just tell her the whole thing.
Era decir,
Just tell her the whole thing, and then she can tell me.
Cuando nosotros estábamos recitando el mantra de Vajrasattva.
Vajrasattva.
Bodhisattva.
Yo sentí un campo energía y fue algo hermoso. La pregunta era que si eso es una bendición o bendiciones, porque sentí el compromiso.
I'm sorry. Maybe you should. Maybe you just write it, huh? Yeah.
No, let me translate onto.
Yeah.
Okay, when she was reciting Vajrasattva
You
mantra,
don't put your hand
she felt a camp of energy around herself, and it was so beautiful that she wanted to ask the question if that was really a blessing, that she felt like a commitment. She has to make a commitment with the with
Great.
Vajrasattva.
Great. That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you for sharing. She's very courageous. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't know, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have also to share with her. Once I have told friends of mine also. First time I did Vajrasattva in a retreat with Venerable Damsha. It was a short retreat of 4 days, but I was crying a lot. I did cry every time. I was crying every time, and I told Venerable Damsha, and she said, "Oh, that was good for
it's
you.
really good, yeah.
It was good for you."
It's really good for you.
I wanted to stop. Queríamos pararlo. We want to stop it. Everyone's looking at me.
Yeah.
No one is crying. I'm
Yeah.
crying. I'm crying. I cannot stop it.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's a blessing. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Don't do that. I'll start crying too. Yeah. Yeah, sure. You should thank yourself.
I love you.
I love you too. That's not funny, you know. It's very serious. She's very, yeah. Thank you very much, you know. You're very brave. Yeah. Anyway, it's not me, you know. It's the power of the lineage. Remember we talked about the lineage, you know. It's also your karma. So you should really be thanking yourself because, you know, I'm just like Mickey Mouse here, you know. Yeah, but that's very kind. You know, it means you have a special connection, you know, with the practice and with the gurus and this group, and it's a, you know, I hope you can, it might pass, you know, but sometimes in the beginning it's very, very strong, you know, like for you, you know, and then after a while it's not so strong anymore, but that's okay, you know, it's just the beginning, it's just, it's like your past life karma is ripening, and you just feel so grateful it makes you cry, you know. I think a lot of us have that experience, you know. It's like, wow, I'm finally home. You know, you feel like you're coming home, you know, after a whole lifetime of being homeless and wandering around, you know. Like there's a story about the little, what's it, a little duck that thinks he's a goose or something, and he's following around all the other geese, and then finally he sees that he's a duck, and he's so happy. Is it, you know what I mean? You know? Yeah. Yeah, it's like that, you know. It's like finally you come home, I'm one of these people, you know. Right? Yeah.
When I say
Wait,
quiet,
start again, you know.
when I was doing the retreat with Dansha, the only thing that came automatically to me was silence. So I was in silence for 5 days. I don't want to talk. I didn't want to talk. I just want to. And all of a sudden, everything was starting to happen. And I pinched my finger. There was blood. And I just decided, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to say anything. Just to observe the pain. And it was wonderful.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That I once knew a woman in Australia, and she would call them word fasts. Even though she was a regular person, you know, I don't think it was when she had to go to work, but she would take days where she just didn't talk. And it's really amazing to do that, you know. I mean, if you can do a retreat, it's really good, but even if you can't do a retreat, sometimes it's good to just take a day of silence. You realize how much energy you use talking. Like for me, when I do these retreats and I don't talk to anybody for a long time, and you start talking again, it's just like so exhausting, you know? And we just talk all the time, you know? So it's really good to spend some time in silence. And if you ever are in retreat and you get, you know, it's a group retreat, but if you stay in silence, the retreat gets so much deeper. You know, because you just lose it whenever you talk, because the mantra has a particular power in the energy of the speech, you know, so if you use your speech for mundane things, then it loses the power of the mantra. And what you notice, people in retreats, these tantric retreats, they end up talking more. You know, during the breaks, you just, you know, everyone wants to, you know, because you build up power in the session, and when the session's over, they're like the autistic kids, you know, but they're doing it talking, you know, and just like all the energy gets lost. So I know that in the FPMT, they at least make it so that you have silence from the time you finish dinner until after lunch. You know, so they leave a little bit of time in the afternoon for talking, because sometimes you have to do some talking, you know. Yeah, a group discussion, or you're doing karma yoga and you need to say, you know, pass me the broom or something, you know. So, but I really recommend some silence, you know, especially if you're trying to do these accumulations. At least you can try something like, when you get up in the morning, even if you have, you know, your family, your husband, just think, okay, I'm not going to talk till I finish my morning practice. At least if you can do that, it's kind of helpful. I don't want to take, we still have to do the practice, so. Anybody else? But I want to get the questions answered too, because, you know, I don't know how much time we'll have to talk tomorrow night, so this is our last afternoon. Yeah.
Between this Nundro and the one that we did on Friday,
Yes.
which one or how would you recommend them?
Yeah. Well, if you're really a beginner, I would say, since you haven't met Yangtze Rinpoche yet, or I mean, yeah. So, if the one on Friday you really felt a heart connection with, you know, you really love doing it, then I would say do that. You know, if you really felt something with His Holiness and Chin Rezig and Om Mani Padme Hung, if that inspired you more than this one, particularly, I would say do the one that really inspires you. But if they're kind of the same, then maybe do this one, you know. But you know, I can't really say for sure. Or if you don't know, is it you guys? Yeah, we're talking about this. The Tibetans have a way of doing divinations, you know. And you can, I mean, this sounds really silly, and maybe I shouldn't even say. But if you have a lot of faith, I think it needs to take a lot of faith, you know, and belief, then you can, you take a little piece of paper, both papers the same size, and you write on the piece of paper, you know, the two things you're deciding, like if you need to make a decision. And then you do like the Guru Yoga, like the Chenrezig Guru Yoga, and you pray to Chenrezig, please tell me, you know, which one. And you put them both in your hand. The pieces of paper, you have to make them exactly the same. And you go like this. And one of them will pop out. And that's the one. That's if you really don't know, you know. But basically, you know, the best thing is you do one, you see how that feels. You do the other one, you see how that feels. And then you could accumulate, if you wanted to, with the other one, you could accumulate 100,000 Om Mani Padme Hungs. Because particularly if compassion is what you need right now, then that would be really great. But really, I think that the refuge is the one, because refuge is where we start. And I really think that refuge is really important. But I can't say for sure, so I think just see how you feel, you know, which one really, if one really, because the one that feels the most healing to you at the moment. Is that a good answer, do you think? Would you say something else? Anybody say something else? Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah. You have something to say, Myrna? Yeah. Yeah, you can do both. Yeah. Yeah. The other one is like something you can do some other time.
That's another part of Nandra, the yoga, the Guru Yoga of Valkadeshwar.
You have to put it on the
Okay.
not the side, but this
Okay,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. Just think about the rock and roll people, you know? They don't do it this way, you know? It's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We do the Namdra of refuge. That's the base one, the basic one that Rinpoche gave to everyone. Then after that, we ask him which one is the best for the practitioner, and he will tell you exactly what he wants with you.
Yeah, because see, this is the thing about having a really qualified guru, which is why I mean, it's pretty amazing, you know, you're this little island, this little motley group of people, and you have Yangtze Rinpoche, you know, it's like, you know? So he can see, you know, like I can't really, I mean, I could do a Moen checkup, but I can't look at you right now and say, you know, but he can see. So, you know, he can help you. And the other thing is the more you pray to him, the more you really pray and see him as the Buddha, as the Guru, as the better your relationship will be with him, and the more he can help you. You know? And it's really important, this is our next topic, is Guru Yoga. We talked about that a little bit whatever day it was. I think it was when we were doing Chenrezig. Or it was earlier, I think it was in the refuge. The thing about the Guru, it's a little bit tricky, because in ours, you know, like if you compare it to like Christianity, it's like their refuge is in somebody that you never see, you know, God or Jesus. So there's no problem, you know, it's like your fantasy, you know, they're like the perfect fantasy, you know, what your mind, you know, all the qualities of Jesus and God, whatever, they're there, you know. But the good thing about us is that we have Jesus now, you know. However, he is manifesting in an ordinary body, which means, you know, you have to, this is the hard one to get, is that because of their kindness, they have an ordinary body. And so that means they also have the aggregates and the elements and these things, you know. And even though they have realized emptiness, still, because of our karma, they manifest according to our karma, you know. And so because our karma is not so pure, we can, you know, the gurus, because we see them as ordinary, then we experience ordinary. this is really hard because it just seems like superstition. You know, it just seems like it's not scientific, you know. And Buddha and Dalai Lama is always saying it's like science. Well, how is that like science? But I think if we could understand quantum physics better, and maybe we could see it. But the problem is, if you spend a lot of time around your guru, you see things that, well, I don't think that's quite right, you know. And you can get a little bit, maybe questioning, you know, is this really, this really person really been, you know, is it really a Buddha, you know? And the point is, you know, from your side, and actually, that's why they say it's actually not good to get so close to the guru. They say that if you get really close to the guru, you get burned by fire. But you don't want to be too far away because then you don't get the teachings. And that's why when you put the water bowls up, you're supposed to make them not too close together, not too far apart. That's the symbolizing of, like, these are perfect. And so if you see something, if you see the guru manifesting something that you think is like not correct or something, you really have to work on yourself and just say, well, you know, think about the ways that the guru does benefit you, and the fact that, well, maybe, you know, I'm seeing it this way because it's my karma to see this, or what can I learn from this, or why is the guru manifesting this way to me? You know, I mean, I really don't know Nyingje Rinpoche. I've only met him a couple times, you know. But I know he's a layperson, and, you know, that makes things a little more difficult sometimes. And so I'm just giving you that if when you get involved with guru devotion relationships, sometimes these things come up. And particularly, I think it happens because it's a different culture, too. Now, Nyingje Rinpoche is pretty modern, so he knows a lot about our culture. But some of the older lamas, you know, you see things that are in Tibetan culture that in our culture aren't so acceptable. But you just have to see them that that's just a cultural thing. Because the main thing that you want to work with the guru is actually the teachings. You know, we're not so hung up on what they do in their daily life. You know, that's their business, you know. And for us, we just want to see them on the throne giving us the teachings, because they are the lineage holders, you know. They do have the blessing and the power of, like I was saying before, you know, about that path, you know, that water, that, you know, they are the guide there. And because we're in the 21st century and these are degenerate times, it's sort of like, this is this is what we get. And so, and I'm not saying this is any reflection on Nyingje Rinpoche, because I don't know anything about him, so I'm not saying he has faults or anything. I'm just saying that my experience with lamas, sometimes you see things that make you feel a little bit, you know, oh, this is an ordinary person here. But you just remember that if you see them as ordinary, you're going to get ordinary blessings. If you see them as a Buddha, you're going to get the Buddha's blessings. So no matter what they look like on the outside, still their mind is the Buddha Dharmakaya mind, and that's what you take refuge in. You're not taking refuge in the ordinary person. You know, you're not taking refuge in the flesh, bones person that's manifesting in this life for our benefit. What you're taking refuge in is the inner Dharmakaya mind that's connected to all those Buddhas. So it's really important to keep that in mind when you're doing the Guru Yoga, because that is, I think, a problem. If there's going to be any problem with Tibetan Buddhism, it's that, because this is just what I think. Because the whole key, you know, like I said, in Christianity, it's so easy. You're just praying to, you know, but we do pray, you know, and we are praying to what? You know, we're praying to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And I think prayer is a scientific kind of thing, you know. I mean, it does work. But you do have to have an object to pray to, you know. So what we're praying to is that stream of blessings that person holds, you know. And it's better, you know. We could just pray to Buddha, you know, like the Christians pray to Jesus. But in actual fact, because we have a living guru that can help us, there's a more direct link, so it's actually more beneficial. And it also gives us, in a certain sense, more faith, because we can see right there. Because most of the time, we don't see an ordinary being. That's the other thing you can think. You know, most of the time, I see this amazing person, but you know, just because they have to eat and sleep, and, you know, it's easier to start beginning to see them as ordinary, you know. So it's really important in the Guru Yoga practice is that they say to try to see the Guru as Buddha. And remember, and the thing is to remember that kindness. You know, if you start to run into difficulties, all you have to do is think back about all the amazing things you learned from your Lama. You know, you learned so many amazing things. Am I going to let this one little thing get in the way? Of course not. You know, that would be foolish. So I mean, you probably don't have this problem, but if it ever arose, I'm just telling you, just in case it happens down the road, you know. Or you hear stories, other people tell stories. You know, just forget that. Don't ever listen to other people's stories, you know, because they're just stories, and they're not your story, you know. Because the main thing for you is to see your Guru is the same as Lama Tsongkhapa. And remember their kindness and practice. Because what you're trying to do is you want to connect your subtle mind with that subtle mind. And we're so fortunate that we have one here. That's not just something that we're fantasizing, right? There's some real connection there. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. Maybe that's enough about Guru Yoga, yeah? So what we're going to do in this is we're going to get to the way we do in Gelugpas. The way we generally do the Guru Yoga practice is we recite what they call the Migsema, or Migme Tsewe, which is, where is it? Where'd it go?
It's before the refuge.
Yeah, but don't you have it in Tibetan? Because I wanted to do it in Tibetan.
We have in Tibetan in the practice of before and after. In this practice we have.
Because I want to say it in Tibetan. I'm glad I checked. So let's get everybody have a copy of that. Because usually, I was talking to Veronica too, usually when we do the accumulations, we do it in Tibetan because it's just easier to say.
Yeah.
You know, English and Spanish, there's so many words and, you know, and you just learn what it means. And so when you say it in Tibetan, you think the meaning to yourself, you know. So can we make sure everyone has one? Because I have it in the English one.
Wait. Okay, let me see. Déjame ver, espérate. Es Migme. I don't think we have here, no.
Is there somewhere?
It's...
You see, this is, I should have done this like last week. Yeah. Well, look, if there's a problem, we just won't do that. We'll just say Omani Padme Hum or something. What? Yeah. Okay, well, if Corey's going to go look for it, why don't we do the 35 Buddhas, okay? Just so we don't waste time. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we want. Now, I have it. I don't need it. I want them to have it. I want everybody else to have it. Yeah. Yeah, but I want to get to I want to have one first. Yeah. So I thought that we would do the 35 Buddhas, then they'll find one, then we'll keep talking a little bit. Yeah, we'll explain. What? Yeah, we're prostrating again. Huh? Yeah. Did you find it?
Yeah, I find it in 5 lines, but really in Brazil asked me to do it in 4 lines.
Yeah. There's 4 lines.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Is there enough for everyone?
Well, we can share it.
Yeah, okay.
Because you see, just has told us, or at least me, he told me
No, that's
to
the
do
one.
it, and do it in Tibetan.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's we're gonna do that.
Sometimes, you can do it in Tibetan for the first one, you sing it, and then the others in Spanish.
No, we're gonna do it all in Tibetan.
All in Spanish?
All in Tibetan.
All in Tibetan? Good.
I want Tibetan for every, so I want
That's it.
everybody to. That's okay, you can use it. Yeah, it's okay. Well, maybe it is, but we'll see. Try one of these. This one maybe. This kind maybe. Yeah, that's good. Maybe that. Okay, everybody. Listo.
You ready? ¿Estamos listos? Sorry. No, no, it's okay. Así que ustedes van a seguir el mismo ritmo que la venerable Nyingje, o sea, digo, su ritmo el que puedan, ¿no? En las postraciones. No tienen que ir al ritmo que yo vaya, ¿ok? Van al ritmo de su ritmo que ustedes puedan. I'm just telling them they can go in their own rhythm, you know. Vayan a su propio paso. Y si te duele mucho el cuerpo, pues haces así y visualiza que te estás postrando. ¿Sí? Maybe they can go like this or something. O haces así parado. Okay. Sí, no, that's what I'm explaining. Okay. You're gonna do the Manjushri? Namo Sushri Namo Tamashi Soha. Homenaje fundador Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat completamente. Should I wait for? Ok, completamente perfecto Buda, glorioso conquistador Shakyamuni. Homenaje Tathagata consumado destructor con esencia de Vajra. Homenaje Tathagata joya radiante. Homenaje Tathagata rey de los señores Nagas. Homenaje Tathagata de líder de guerreros. Homenaje Tathagata héroe encantado. Homenaje Tathagata joya de fuego. Homenaje Tathagata joya de luz de luna. Homenaje al Tathagata significativo beber. Homenaje al Tathagata joya luna. Homenaje al Tathagata inmaculado. Homenaje al Tathagata dador de valentía. Homenaje al Tathagata el puro, homenaje al Tathagata otorgador de pureza, homenaje al Tathagata Dios agua, homenaje al Tathagata deidad de Dios agua, homenaje al Tathagata bien glorioso, homenaje al Tathagata glorioso sándalo, homenaje al Tathagata esplendor infinito, homenaje al Tathagata luz gloriosa, homenaje al Tathagata gloria sin tristeza, homenaje al Tathagata hijo del sin deseo, homenaje al Tathagata gloriosa flor, homenaje al Tathagata juego de luz pura de conocimiento directo, homenaje al Tathagata juego de rayos de luz de loto de conocimiento directo, homenaje al Tathagata riqueza gloriosa, homenaje al Tathagata conciencia gloriosa, homenaje al Tathagata bien reconocido glorioso nombre, homenaje al Tathagata rey que sostiene la bandera de la victoria sobre los sentidos, homenaje al Tathagata gloria totalmente subyugante, homenaje al Tathagata totalmente victorioso en la batalla, homenaje al Tathagata gloriosa trascendencia subyugar, homenaje al Tathagata gloriosas manifestaciones iluminando todo, homenaje al Tathagata completamente subyugadora joya de loto, homenaje al Tathagata Arhat completamente perfecto Buda, rey de los señores de las montañas firmemente sentado en joya de luna. Todos ustedes, okay. Todos ustedes, 35 Budas y otros, tantos como los Tathagatas, Arhats, completamente perfectos Budas, que existen sosteniendo y viviendo en las 10 direcciones de los mundos de los seres sensibles. Todos los Budas Bhagavans, por favor, préstenme atención. Desde vida sin principio en el samsara, en esta vida, en mi vida previa y en todos los reinos de renacimiento samsárico, cualquier karma negativo que haya creado o causado a otros a crearlo, o del que me haya alegrado, tal como tomar posesión de estupas del sangha egoístamente o del sangha de las 10 direcciones, causando a otros a tomarlas o regocijándome en que otros las tomaran, habiendo creado las 5 acciones extremas negativas, causando a otros que las crearan, o regocijándome en que otros las crearan, encaminándome en el camino de las 10 acciones malignas, causando a otros a realizarlas, o regocijándome de que otros las realizaran, me ha causado al oscurecerme, el nacer en los infiernos, en lugares de animales, en los reinos de los pretas, en países no religiosos como bárbaro, como Dios de larga vida, como órganos imperfectos, con visiones erróneas, sin el deleite de la descendencia de Buda. En la presencia de los Budas Bhagavan, que son sabiduría exaltada, que conocen toda la existencia, que son ojos compasivos, mirando a todos los seres sensibles todo el tiempo, que son testigos, son válidos y que ven con mente omnisciente. Yo admito todas estas negatividades. Las acepto como negativas. No las mantendré en secreto sin confesarlas. No las esconderé. Y desde ahora en adelante las eliminaré y me abstendré de crear estas acciones negativas. Todos los Budas Bhagavans, por favor, escúchenme. Desde vida sin principio en el samsara, en esta vida, en mi vida previa y en todos los reinos samsáricos de renacimiento, cualquier virtud que he creado con tan solo acciones pequeñas como dar migajas de comida a algún ser nacido en el reino minimal, cualquier raíz de virtud que haya creado al mantener los preceptos, cualquier raíz de virtud que haya creado por conducta virtuosa, cualquier raíz de virtud que haya creado por madurar las mentes de otros completamente, cualquier raíz de virtud que haya creado al generar bodhicitta y cualquier raíz de virtud de exaltada sabiduría que haya creado, todas reunidas, recogidas y luego combinadas juntas, las dedico a la no sobrepasada, la más excelente, más alta que lo alto, superior a lo superior. Por esta razón la dedico completamente a la no sobrepasada y perfecta iluminación. No obstante que los Budas, Bhagavan previos, hayan dedicado, no obstante que aún no descendido Buda Bhagavan lo dedique, y no obstante que los presentes Budas Bhagavan lo dediquen, así yo también dedico completamente. Confieso el karma negativo individualmente, me regocijo en el mérito, suplico a los Budas que conceden mi súplica, que pueda obtener la excelencia suprema sin límites, la sabiduría exaltada. A los reyes sublimes de los seres humanos, a aquellos que viven en el presente, los que han vivido en el pasado y los que no han descendido. A todos los que poseen conocimiento tan vasto como el océano infinito, con manos enlazadas, voy por refugio. Sintiendo la purificación ahora mismo. Deja que tu mente se disuelva en la vacuidad. Pensando que quieres purificar todo para ti, para todos los seres sintientes, todo completamente purificado. Los 35 Budas se disuelven en Buda Shakyamuni, quien se convierte en bien pequeñito, del tamaño de una semilla de mostaza, llena de luz. La esencia del cuerpo y mente, cuerpo, palabra y mente sagrados de Buda. Viene a la coronilla tuya. Entra y va al centro de tu corazón. Y sentimos una gran bendición. Y eso sale hacia todos los seres sintientes alrededor de nosotros, con esa luz. Generamos un deseo muy grande de que todos los seres sintientes obtengan la iluminación. Solo el anhelo de que todos los seres obtengan la iluminación y estén libres de sufrimiento. Y de tu corazón salen todas las enseñanzas de Buda, enseñándole a cada ser sintiente en cualquier manera que ellos necesitan. Y ellos ganan todas las realizaciones del Amrim. Reciben las 4 iniciaciones del Yoga Tantra más elevado. Y todos se convierten en deidades, la que sea apropiada para ellos. Así que todo el cielo está lleno de deidades. Y eso se disuelve en nosotros. Y una vez más sentimos las bendiciones de la purificación. Pensando que por las actividades de arrepentirnos, bodhicitta y de postrarnos, que todos nuestros karmas negativos, enfermedades, obstáculos o interferencias de los espíritus se purifiquen completamente. Así que no solamente van a pensar en las cosas grandes que tenemos que transformar, sino también en los obstáculos pequeños que te están obstaculizando ahora mismo en esta vida, siempre con la intención, o sea, de que lo estás haciendo para iluminarte, para el beneficio de todos los seres. Y que también estás purificando por todos los seres sintientes que tienen los mismos obstáculos. Dedicamos el mérito para obtener la iluminación para el beneficio de todos los seres. Y nos sentamos.
Si no da para todos la práctica, pues por lo menos compartirla. El que pueda compartir, puede compartir. ¿Ok? No, este es el Guru Yoga del Amazon Kappa. Y como si no son tantos, pues puedan compartir, ¿ok? Si no, sí. El mixema. Es que hay 4 líneas, 5 líneas con Vajrayana y hay otro de 9 líneas. Pero 4 es para repetición, acumulación y es 4 líneas. Por eso, fíjate que son 4 líneas. Hay otro que es la de 5, pero esa es 5 líneas. Esa es la que se le llama la de 5 líneas.
Maybe sit in a chair, you know. No. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that's good. Are you hurting here or here? Oh. Oh. Oh, wow. That's really painful. Oh. Wow. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Purification. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Where were we? Since we were talking about Damcha, I'll say one more thing about Damcha. You're very lucky, you know. She's really smart, and she's really devoted. But it's because of her that I'm here. Yeah, she's the one who kind of brought me here because she told Veronica about me, and then Veronica started. I didn't know who Veronica was, but she kept saying, please come, and finally I came. Remember? So Guru Yoga. Another thing too, I was looking more at the water bowls. They're too close together. The water bowls should be, you know, about that far apart, about 1/4 of an inch apart. Yeah, but the little a grain of rice is too close, actually, you know. It's there, but you know about that. So some of those are touching. You don't want them to be touching. Huh? I said these water bowls. Oh, I don't know. This might be Tibetan superstition, you know. I don't know, but they say that the water bowls, if they're touching, you get too close to the guru. You don't want to be too close, you know, because then it's difficult to have pure view, you know. Some people can, you know. Some people can be that close, but most of us, it's not so beneficial to be that, you know, like with them all the time, you know. And but too far away, you don't want to be too far away. So just right, you know, which is about like that, you know. No, that's a little bit close. So anyway, let's just settle down a little bit, okay? We'll just sit in.
Silencio, por favor.
let's start the Guru Yoga practice. Just do the whole thing until, and remember to stop here to dissolve the merit field, and then we're going to go to
After the long mandala.
just
But it's ominous.
no, I see that, but I'm not sure I want to do it there. Okay, we'll do it there. Huh? Yeah, just one repetition. I think. You think just one repetition? Yeah.
Whatever you want to.
Yeah, just one repetition.
Okay,
is
you can
okay.
do it. Okay.
But I know what we'll do one repetition, but then stop and meditate on the meaning for a while. Okay. I think that's more beneficial in some ways. Okay.
Vamos para la práctica del nondro y hacemos la visualización. Okay?
Thank you. Remember that.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
Think of Rod Stewart.
I have to be. Tengo que ser cantante, no lo soy. Okay. En la práctica del nondro, vamos comenzando la visualización de los objetos de refugio. Estamos en el nondro, en la página de el nondro,
We're
por
doing the whole
favor.
thing again, okay? From the
Cuando
beginning.
vayamos entonces al mixema, entonces utilizamos la parte de mixema que estaría en la tercera página, creo que.
And everyone has the Mixema in Tibetan?
Ya,
Okay.
¿ok? Pero vamos con el nondro. En la visualización. En el espacio frente a mí, al nivel de la vista, se encuentra un trono, ambos excelsos y gloriosos, construidos de todas las piedras preciosas. Arriba y debajo lo protegen leones, 2 en cada esquina, alta y baja. Encima hay un asiento de mandala de loto completamente florecido, luna y sol. Sentado sobre él se encuentra mi sagrado lama raíz, quien es siempre afable y bondadoso. Su apariencia externa es la de Buda Shakyamuni. Su cuerpo tiene la tonalidad del oro refinado y pulido con la Ushnisha como corona, una cara y 2 brazos. Su mano derecha se dirige hacia la tierra y su izquierda está en su falda, tranquilamente sosteniendo una escodilla de mendigo que está llena con los 3 néctares. Adornado con todas las 112 marcas de un Buda, está vestido con túnicas de monje de color azafrán. Sus piernas están ambas cruzadas en posición Vajra y los rodea una nube brillante de rayos de luz clara. Sentados a su alrededor están todos mis gurús y los del linaje, y también mis yidans, budas, bodhisattvas, dakas, dakinis y protectores del Dharma. Están sentados a su alrededor también. Los volúmenes de sus enseñanzas están colocados frente a él, sobre cojines preciosos que brillan con clara luz. Todos los miembros de esta asamblea poderosa están sonriendo y complacidos de que yo estoy aquí sentado haciendo la puya. Recordando su bondad y calificaciones, me coloco en un estado firme de gran fe. Yo y todos los seres sintientes madres, desde el nacimiento sin principio hasta este momento presente, hemos experimentado completamente los muchos sufrimientos del samsara en general, y específicamente los 3 estados inferiores. Sin embargo, aún no es fácil entender completamente la profundidad y el alcance del sufrimiento que debemos soportar. pero ahora tengo un cuerpo humano completamente dotado con las 8 clases de tiempo libre y las 10 circunstancias conducentes a la práctica del Dharma. Este cuerpo no fácilmente obtenible, una vez obtenido, puede usarse de manera correcta, pues con él puedo trabajar hacia un renacimiento más elevado, el nirvana, o aún el estado de Buda. Además, tengo la buena fortuna de haber encontrado el Dharma, cuya presencia es tan difícil de conseguir. Habiendo obtenido estas condiciones tan favorables, si no trabajo para obtener la iluminación completa, sobrepasando el nirvana y libre de todo sufrimiento, y si no trato de obtener esto ahora mismo, en este momento, otra vez tendré que pasar por todos los sufrimientos del samsara en general y específicamente los sufrimientos de los 3 estados inferiores. Por lo tanto, como el poder de protección de todos estos sufrimientos depende de ti y está en tus manos, oh mi gurú, y a ti y a las 3 joyas de refugio que visualizo frente a mí, prometo esforzarme para obtener la budidad ahora, para que pueda beneficiar a todos los seres sintientes madres. Con este propósito, ahora tomo refugio en ti, sagrado gurú, y en las 3 joyas.
So remember that we have all sentient beings around us, right? And if you can, the Father on the right, Mother on the left. Not 100% necessary. Namo Gurube. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Gurube. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Gurube. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. So feel the nectars and rays pouring in. Feel yourself purified. The blessings coming in. And feel safe and protected. Like you're creating a safe space inside your heart that's free from the grasping mind that's grasping at all the delusions. It's like you have a little meditation cave in your heart where the Guru is welcoming you to come and be in the clear light nature of your own mind. Okay, then generate bodhicitta.
Voy por refugio hasta que me ilumine a los Budas, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema, que por los méritos y virtudes que acumule mediante la práctica de la generosidad y demás perfecciones, pueda alcanzar el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres. Voy por refugio hasta que a Budas, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema, que por los méritos y virtudes que acumule mediante la práctica de la generosidad y demás perfecciones, pueda alcanzar el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres sensibles. Voy por refugio hasta que me ilumine a los Budas, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema, que por los méritos y virtudes que acumule mediante la práctica de la generosidad y demás perfecciones, pueda alcanzar el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres sensibles. Leemos los 4 inconmensurables una sola vez cada uno, haciendo pausa.
And when we pause, just think that that immeasurable is going out to all sentient beings out in infinite space. Okay?
Okay. Qué maravilloso sería si todos los seres sensibles pudieran permanecer imparciales, sin predisposiciones, sin tener apegos ni rechazos iracundos, sin sentirse cerca de algunos y distantes de otros, que puedan permanecer siempre así, que pueda yo ser causa de que permanezcan siempre así. Concédame, por favor, su fortaleza inspiradora, oh divinos y santos gurús, para poder realizarlo.
Okay. Keep going. You can decide when to go. Okay.
Qué maravilloso sería si todos los seres sensibles estuvieran dotados de felicidad y de las causas de la felicidad, que siempre la tengan, que sea yo la causa de que la tengan. Concédame, por favor, su fortaleza inspiradora, oh divinos y santos gurús, para poderlo realizar. Continuamos. Qué maravilloso sería si todos los seres sensibles fueran liberados del sufrimiento y de las causas del sufrimiento, que siempre sean libres así, que sea yo causa de esa liberación. Concédame, por favor, su fuerza inspiradora, oh divinos y santos gurús, para poder realizarlo. Qué maravilloso sería que todos los seres sensibles nunca fueran alejados de los renacimientos superiores o de la liberación completa, que nunca sean alejados de estos estados, que yo pueda ser causa de que nunca sean alejados de estos estados. Concédame por favor su fuerza inspiradora, oh divinos y santos gurús, para poder lograrlo.
And then taking the feeling of the four immeasurables again, generate the wish to attain enlightenment for all sentient beings. Realizing that in this present state, there's very little I can do, because I myself do not have equanimity. I don't have the power to guide sentient beings to enlightenment. So I'm going to engage in this practice of Guru Yoga so that I can create the cause to become like my Guru, like all the past lineage lamas, become a vessel holder of the blessings of the Buddha so that I can spread that to all sentient beings throughout infinite space. Please bless me to generate the omniscient holy mind, holy speech, holy body of Buddha. For this reason, I'm going to do the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga practice. And feel very sincerely from your heart. Thinking about the suffering of yourself and others. Especially the great ignorance of holding all phenomena as truly existent from their own side. So then the Dharma protectors, the Dakas, Dakinis, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Yidams dissolve up into Buddha Shakyamuni, who is the embodiment of our own root Guru. And above the Buddha is all the lineage lamas. And they also dissolve down into Buddha Shakyamuni. And then the lotus and the throne, actually he's on a throne, with the lions dissolves. The whole seat with the moon, the lotus, all that dissolves up into the Buddha as well. And the Buddha dissolves into the clear light drop, the subtle wind and mind drop, essence drop, the Buddha nature of the Buddha. Very bright, comes to the crown of my head and dissolves into me, where I am empowered to experience my own Buddha nature. First, just the relative nature of mine, which is formless, clear, and knowing, free of grasping at thoughts, emotions. They just arise. They rise like waves in the water, reflections in the mirror. But I no longer identify with them because my sense of self is the nature of the mind. And then that too is in the nature of emptiness. So this very, very subtle form, wind and mind, from that more subtle light rays go out and touching all the sentient beings around us, where they study, experience, realize the Lamrim, receive the four empowerments, experience their own nature of mind, their own emptiness, their own union of clear light and illusory body, where they are transformed into deities, all sorts of deities. Whichever they're suited to each. So all of space becomes Buddha realms. The environment and the beings therein are transformed into Buddha realms of each deity. And we experience great bliss mixed with emptiness. And that gets even stronger as these deities in their Buddha realms dissolve into us. And we experience the true nature of our own mind. Great bliss, cognizing emptiness, and the union of two. Blissful subjective consciousness, aware of its own emptiness. And then to the force of my bodhicitta, I've been practicing for lifetimes. I manifest again in ordinary form. And we'll do the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga.
Desde el corazón del protector de las cientos de deidades de la tierra de la bienaventuranza, viene una nube que asemeja a una masa cuajada blanca y fresca. Omnisciente Losandrakpa, Rey del Dharma, junto con tus hijos te pido que vengas aquí ahora. Oh venerables gurús con sonrisas blancas de deleite, sentados en tronos de leones, luna y loto en el espacio frente a mí. Pido que permanezcan por cientos de eones para que puedan diseminar las enseñanzas y sean el supremo campo de mérito para mi mente fiel. Sus mentes tienen el intelecto que comprende todo lo que puede ser conocido. Sus palabras con sus explicaciones excelentes se convierten en adornos para el oído de aquellos con buena fortuna. Sus cuerpos son radiantemente hermosos con gloria reconocida. Me postro ante ustedes a quien es valioso apoyar, escuchar y recordar. Agradables ofrendas de agua, flores variadas e incienso fragante, luz y aguas perfumadas, un océano de ofrendas reales visualizadas tal cual nubes. Yo presento a ustedes, oh supremo campo de mérito, cualquier acto no virtuoso de la palabra o de la mente que yo haya acumulado desde tiempo sin comienzo, y especialmente cualquier transgresión a mis 3 votos, yo los confieso una y otra vez con respeto ferviente desde mi corazón. Desde lo más profundo de nuestros corazones nos regocijamos, oh protectores, en las grandes ondas de sus acciones, ustedes quienes se esforzaron por aprender y practicar en esta era degenerada y que le dieron sentido a la vida, abandonando los 8 sentimientos mundanos. Tomamos un tiempo aquí, pausa. Yeah.
Okay.
Tomamos una pausa y nos regocijamos.
Just rejoice in all the past Buddhas and all the great yogis who were able to do their nundras and completed them without obstacles, okay? And rejoice in all the beings who have perfect human rebirths. They don't have to be in the world so much. They can spend all their lives doing practice. Or serving sentient beings. And rejoicing in those who are able to transform their daily life and their work with their families and their jobs into total dharma. Having mindfulness to transform all the daily mundane activities into dharma. With proper motivation, proper visualization, proper imagination, mindfulness, mostly mindfulness. Let's rejoice in all the beings who have the mindfulness to pay attention to their activities and make all their activities dharma. Okay, keep going.
Oh sagrado y venerable Lama, desde las nubes de compasión que se forman en los cielos de tu sabiduría dharmakāyika, por favor libera una lluvia del Dharma vasta y profunda, de acuerdo precisamente con las necesidades de aquellos que serán adiestrados. Dedico cualquier virtud que haya sido acumulada para el beneficio de las enseñanzas y de todos los seres sensibles, y en particular para que las enseñanzas del venerable Losandrakpa brillen por siempre. Om Vajra Bhumi Ahum. Aquí se encuentra la base de oro poderosa. Om Vajra Reke Ahum. Aquí se encuentra la cerca diamantina. El círculo exterior está rodeado por esta cerca de hierro. En el centro se encuentra el monte Meru, el rey de las montañas. En el este se encuentra el continente Videa. En el sur el continente Yambumbipa. En el oeste el continente Godanilla. Y al norte el continente Guru. Encontramos alrededor del este los continentes Dea y Videa. Alrededor del sur los continentes Cámara y Aparacámara. Alrededor del oeste los subcontinentes Shata y Ultramantrina. Alrededor del norte los subcontinentes Guru y Gaurava. Al este está la montaña de los tesoros. Al sur el árbol que concede los deseos. Al oeste la vaca que concede deseos. Al norte se encuentra la cosecha aún no arada. Aquí encontramos la rueda preciosa, la joya preciosa, la reina preciada, el ministro preciado, el elefante preciado, el caballo preciado, el general preciado y el gran jarro de los tesoros. Aquí se encuentran la diosa de la belleza, la diosa de las guirnaldas, la diosa de la canción, la diosa de la danza, la diosa de las flores, la diosa del incienso, la diosa de la luz y la diosa del perfume. Aquí se encuentra el sol, la luna, la sombrilla de todo lo que es precioso y preciado, y el banderín de la victoria en todas las direcciones. Aquí en el centro están todas las posesiones preciadas de los dioses y los humanos. Esta magnífica y gloriosa colección donde no falta nada, yo te ofrezco a ti, mi bondadoso gurú raíz, junto a todos los gurús venerables del linaje, y a ti, Lama Kappa, y a ti, oh Buda, y a ti, Vajradhara, junto a la asamblea completa de dioses, que por su compasión enorme y poderosa acepten lo que ofrezco como causa para mejorar el estado de todos los seres sintientes. Derramen sobre mí honda aspiración para que yo pueda vivir de acuerdo al noble ejemplo que ustedes han dado. Tomo refugio en las tres preciosas joyas y en mi gurú, y hago esta súplica. Envíeme olas de fuerza inspiradora. Inspírenme ahora y a todos los seres madres para finalizar todos los estados distorsionados de la mente, tal como ser irrespetuosos en los más mínimos con los preciosos gurús e insistir que nosotros mismos somos diferentes de todos los demás. Envíenme olas de fuerza inspiradora para desarrollar rápidamente todos los verdaderos estados de la mente, que especialmente incluyen demostrar respeto a los gurús. Envíenme olas de fuerza inspiradora para aclarar los obstáculos externos e internos de nuestra práctica del Dharma. Glorioso y precioso Gurú Raíz, por favor toma tu asiento de loto y luna en mi coronilla y manténme protegido en tu gran bondad. Concédeme los logros poderosos de tu cuerpo, palabra y mente sagrados.
Idam Guru Ranam. Is that right?
I forgot. Okay.
What did you forget?
Offering the mandala.
Oh,
I
okay.
forgot.
That's all right. Idam Guru Ranam Mandala
Kamniljatayami.
Okay, let's stop here now for just a bit. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Lama Tsongkhapa. For those of you who don't know, why are we doing Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga? Well, because this particular lineage of Tibetan Buddhism comes through Lama Tsongkhapa. And Lama Tsongkhapa lived in Tibet in the 15th century. So that's, 600 years ago? And almost 600 years ago. And he was like a second Buddha. And a lot of people think that Lama Tsongkhapa was this great intellectual, because so much of our Gelugpa kind of, it sort of became manifested more as universities and great monasteries, you know. There was Ganden and Drepung and Sarah and what else? Was there more? I can't remember right now. That had thousands of monks, you know. And there were great, great Geshis like Geshe Sopa, and not that Geshe Sopa isn't also a yogi, but it's kind of more known for their great intellectual understanding. but in actual fact, Lama Tsongkhapa was also a Mahasiddha and a yogi, like you see more in the Nyingma and Kagyu schools. He spent many, many years in retreat. And when he did his Nundro practices, what we're doing now, he did these same Nundro practices. And Lizzie and I went to his place where he did them. And they spent many years doing the Nundros. And when they did their Nundros, they didn't eat. They just had one juniper berry a day. 3 times a day they would eat just the juniper berries, because they were already very advanced. And when Lama Tsongkhapa did his prostration Nundros, he did 100,000 to each of the 35 Buddhas. So he did 3.5 million prostrations. And when he did the mandala offerings, I can't remember how many million mandala offerings, he did many million mandala offerings. And they say that he used a stone, and he like rubbed his down to the bone, from rubbing on the stone, And his refuge, I don't know how, I don't know all the details. But he was a really, really great yogi who could, but Lama Tsongkhapa chose not to show that aspect. In fact, he even chose not to be completely enlightened until the Bardo, because in his time in Tibet, he thought it was more important to show the aspect of a monk, because he felt that at that time in Tibet, there'd become a division. They thought either you practiced sutra and you were a monk, or you practiced tantra and you were like a lay yogi, having sex and parties and drinking alcohol, because yogis were transforming everything. And Lama Tsongkhapa thought that this was incorrect, that actually the best basis for practicing tantra was that of a gelong, we women, we have to kind of give them a little bit of dispensation, because in their culture, women were just sort of not respected so much back then. So they didn't, we don't have too many stories about great Gelugpa nuns, But so they say gelong, And I think a lot of that also is the reason is it's easier for a man not to have children and be celibate, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But we just need to know that he said that the best basis for practicing tantra was as a celibate, with practicing the vows. But so he said, outside is the outside we hold the vows, inside we Mahayana, and secretly we practice tantra. So this was what he did. And one of the main contributions of Lama Tsongkhapa was he clarified a lot of things about Tantra. So he was actually a very great Tantric practitioner that nobody really understood. And he clarified many things about the Prasangika Madhyamika, because a lot of people didn't have that straight. And so what we learn when we study the Prasangika Madhyamika, which is part of your, it's your second after the basic, this is what Lama Tsongkhapa brought to Tibet, because he felt like it wasn't so clear. And he, because of all his years of meditation and practice, he actually could vision Manjushri and could speak to Manjushri and talk to Manjushri, which is the deity of wisdom, the one with the sword, And so he could clarify a lot of points with Manjushri, and he went back and he was able to go back into the teachings of Nagarjuna and